Hi guys, welcome to another Divi theme video. This is Jamie from System 22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. We got another fun one for you today. We're again looking at Divi 5 with some of the new features here. We've got this little masonry gallery here. It's still not just a gallery, it's actually a little blog post page. If I hover over one of these, you'll see the writing's going to come up with the title, little excerpt there. Of course, if we click on one, it's going to take us to the post for that specific thing. We've just put this together with the grid feature that they've introduced here in Divi 5. Really easy to do, no coding at all in this, so let's get started. I'm going to hit the edit with Divi on this page. Well, let's go down, we'll get rid of this, and we'll start from scratch. So I've got basically an empty page here, I've got a section at the top, so I'm going to ask us to put a row in. I'm going to add a row. I'm going to roll down to something I like the look of. I'm actually going to use a grid for this today rather than a flex. And they've got several masonry ones here. The one I used today was this one, and it's got 6 columns in it. So let's use that one again. I'm going to throw that one in there. It's going to prompt us to put a module in one of these columns. I'm going to use the Blurb module today just because it works for what I want to do. So I'm going to pop that one in there. Okay, and as you can see, we've got this grid layout here, but we want to populate all of these little columns with one of our little Blurb modules here. So firstly, let's get this the way we want it. I'm going to go into the Blurb module itself. I want a title, I want some text, but I don't want an image at the top, so I'm just going to go in there. I'm going to get rid of that, so we've just got the title and a bit of text, and we're going to put in the title of our blog post and an excerpt of it there, and then make each of these link to the specific blog post, obviously. Now, how do we do this? We want to sort of loop something so it fills all these columns. Well, as this template's applied to the row, we can just actually keep this single column that we're working on here and delete all the rest. Now, if you're not sure why that is, I'll show you. If we go into the column that our Blurb module is sitting in here, you just go back one. We're in the Blurb at the moment. That will take us to the column that it's in. If you're not sure what's going on, you can go to wireframe mode back here. And here it is. Here's our Blurb module, and it's in our little first column there. So once we're in this column, I'm actually going to loop it. I'm going to roll down to where it says loop there. I'm going to hit loop element. And as you can see, it's looped that thing and it's put it in the same grid shape as we had before. And it's showing about 9 or so. I'm just going to show 6 on mine. I want it to show posts. I'm going to use my category of supercars. I really only want to show 6 on mine, obviously adjust to taste. I would go up in multiples of 6 though, if you want to utilize this grid as it's built for 6. So 6, 12, 18, 24, etc. As you can see, we've got all these columns left over here, which is our original grid columns from the row, but it's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 here. So as you can see, it's the right shape. If we go back into our row now by going into the column, back one, take us to the row. We look at the elements, it's going to give us all these columns here. Like I say, we only need the one that we've looped, which is number 1 there. So we can get rid of all the other ones. And as you can see, nothing's really changing in our structure over there. We've still got our 6. Perfect. Well, let's start to style this the way we actually want it. First thing I'm going to do is I want to make my section just slightly more interesting. I'm going to go in there and give it a background. Blue tab for the section. Background always under content. I've been using a background color, dark gray, 15, 15, 15. I'm going to use that one again. That's for our section right there. Obviously, our little blurb text right here, I kind of want that in the middle. I'd like it a lighter color so we can see it. So we go into there, and it doesn't matter which one you do, it's going to do all of them for us. Once in the blurb, going to go to design, text. I want mine in the middle. I want it light in color. Now you can do the title and body text separately here if you want different colors or different fonts. I'm going to leave mine just exactly like that. Great, well that's shaping up, but we want it to pull in our blog posts, and we want to have nice little images instead of this text here. We only want to see the text when they hover over it. So at the moment, our little blogs are really squeezed up to the top here. I want to give them a bit of padding top and bottom, left and right. So let's do that. I keep calling them blogs. They're actually blurbs. but they are going to be blogs. So while we're in the blurb and in the design, we'll go down to spacing. I'm going to use a percentage on mine. I think I use padding top 15%. That way, and it shrinks down on smaller devices. It'll be a similar gap. And left and right, I think I just had 10%. Obviously, adjust to taste. And we'll hit the chain there also. Now let's make it pull in the actual content that we want to see. Well, the title up here wants to be the actual post title that it's pulling in itself from our supercars group. Now, before I do this, just for anybody that doesn't understand what's going on in this next bit, you have to have created some blog posts on your WordPress site. If I go into my posts here, you can see I've created a lot of posts. Got various different categories going on. If we edit one of these, you'll see there's not much content in there. We've got a title, a bit of text there, but each of these has a page title. Obviously, we're going to be pulling that in. I put an excerpt in there. When you create one of these, you've got the opportunity to put an excerpt in here. My excerpt's just a paragraph from the text over there. And each one's got a featured image. And we'll be pulling in all of these in the next step. I just wanted to explain that for anybody that might get confused by that. So let's go back to our page. We're still in our Blurb module. I'm going to go back to the content now. For our text, we want to pull in the title of whatever blog post it is. So we're going to go to title there. Going to go over the little dynamic content icon, loop, post title. As you can see, they've pulled in those crazy supercar titles there. But you don't know what we're going to do next. Yep. In the paragraph text down below here, after we hit apply, where it says content there, I'm going to do the same thing. Dynamic content, loop the excerpt that I just showed you. Perfect. Now that's pretty much all I want for our blurb modules when they come in, because I'm going to have them, like I say, not visible at first and just visible when we hover over them. I want to see these nice cars. And the best way I found to do that, to be able to switch these around, is to go into the row and go into the actual column that we looped here. So if we go into the row and elements, there's the column. If we go in there, just make sure it's the right one. It's the one we looped. So in the background of this column, just above it there, I'm going to go to the third tab along for image. Where it says background image in grey here, again, hit the dynamic content icon. I'm going to loop the post featured image. As you can see, it's chucked it in the background there. And that's actually in the column. It's not in our blurb module itself. Now to make this more like a sort of masonry gallery, and we'll change the background and text and do all the hover effect in a minute. I really want these either touching each other or at least very close to each other. And we've got gutters here, which are the spacing in between them. We can fix that. Remember, this template is applied to the row. So if we go into the row, the green tab, go to our design and layout, it will have the grid selected because that's what we selected initially. Horizontal and vertical gap. If you don't want any gap, just put a 0 in there. Both horizontal and vertical. You'll see that actually touching. I'm going to put a little bit of daylight in there. I'll probably put 3 pixels in, I think I used before. And we got a nice little masonry gallery type thing right there. Now, of course, we need to sort this text out. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go into the blurb and I'm going to match the background to our page background here, which is at 15, 15, 15. So background's always under content. We roll down the background here, background color. Again, I'm just going to type in my 15, 15, 15. Great, we've still got a bit of daylight here and here. We can fix that. If we actually go back into the column, again, we're in the blurb at the moment. If we go to the column, design, make sure it's grid, not flex. Yeah, it's set to flex. Let's switch that to grid. That's fix that little issue there. Now, of course, if you want a little bit of the image showing through when they hover over and get the writing up, we can do that in the background again of the blurb module. So I've gone back into the blurb content background. If you want it to show through just a little bit when they hover over, we can bring this down so there's a hint of the image, but they can still read that writing nicely. Great. Well, let's create our hover effect now. We're still in the blurb. I'm going to go over to my design. Now, shut down the layout there, I'm going to go down to my filters at the bottom here. We're going to roll down till we find one called opacity. I'm going to pull it all the way down. Zhunk. So we're just left with our nice images. Then when they put their mouse over it, we want it to come back, just like that. So if we go up here to the little computer type icon, left click, go down to hover, we can set different settings anytime they hover their mouse on it. Well, I just want it to come back. Opacity, I'm going to bring it all the way back to 100%. Time it takes to get from hover to desktop, and make sure once you use the hover that you switch that back to desktop. If you don't, it can cause you problems with edits that you do, because they'll only happen when they hover over it. So let's change that timing, slow it down a bit. By default, it's 300 mils with Divi. If we go over to our advanced, go down to transitions is where you'll find it. There's the default 300 milliseconds. Let's maybe take 3/4 of a second, 350 milliseconds. And I'm going to use the ease in, ease out, which I tend to use for my hover effects like this. That's a little bit more graceful there. It's taking 3/4 of a second to roll in. Now, the only other thing, it'd be kind of helpful that when they rolled in, that when they clicked on it, it took them to the blog post itself. Really easy to do. Still in the blurb, still under content. If we roll down, you find link. Module link. I want the whole module to link, not just the title. So I'm going to put mine in here. I'm going to hit the dynamic content again. Loop link. Now any of these blurb modules they roll over will have a link that will take them to the appropriate post. So if you've done anything correctly now, this should work perfectly for us. Let's apply what we've just done there with our link. We'll save draft. Now let's preview what we've got. And there we have it. And it's a nice little masonry sort of photo gallery. When we hover over, it's going to take 3/4 of a second to fade in with the writing over the top. Same with our smaller ones here. And of course, when they click on it, it's going to take them to the particular post for that object. Fantastic. So there we have it. Yet another great feature that they've added to Divi 5 here, the grid system. Like I say, it looks like a little masonry gallery, but it's actually a blog post page that we've got going on here. Really nice, easy to do little feature right there. Really am enjoying Divi 5. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget, if you have any questions about Divi 4 or Divi 5, put them down below. I'll do my best to answer them if I can, or make a little demo video just like this one. So once again, this has been Jamie with System 22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.